Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Travis, back with another episode of the Rep by Rep Strength Podcast. So right now, before I forget, if you're not on my email newsletter, go to travisbarrett.com/email and sign up for my weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm just covering various topics related to training, recovery, nutrition, that sort of thing. And I believe that's all the announcements I've got. So, right now, I am driving through Montana, and I just got through the Coeur d'Alene National Forest. So basically for the past 60 miles, it's been nothing but switchbacks, like curves this way and that, and I have to constantly let off the gas, apply the brake, a little more gas, going up and down hills, et cetera, et cetera. And it just got me thinking about, some things from this week. So, number one, all along the way, there's warning signs, there's indicators on I-90 that's telling you to, anticipate ice and anticipate these turns that are coming up. So there's warning signs and indicators along the way. You just have to pay attention and stay within the speed limit, especially on the curves. So I think that applies to training quite a bit as well. Is if you're smart about your training and you pay attention to what your body's telling you, you can make safe adjustments and still make quite a bit of progress. So perfect example. This week, right now it's Friday. So this past week, I had to stay at home 2 days. I think it was Tuesday, and then again on Thursday, because one of my kiddos wasn't feeling well. So she woke up in the middle of the night, I think on early Tuesday morning. So she wakes up a ton. She's very fussy, and obviously she has something going on. So no one in our house really slept well. Our dog was whiny all night, and it was just one of those things where, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just stay home with her and take the day off. And I had plenty of things scheduled at work that I needed to get done, but I obviously couldn't go into work. And I also had a training scheduled that day for myself, because I usually train somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 times per week, and that wasn't going to happen. But I didn't stress about it, because I hit a pretty hard training session on Monday. And the thing that I noticed on Tuesday is, since we all had poor sleep, I had to run my daughter to the doctor just to make sure that there wasn't some kind of underlying issue going on. So that, it's always a little bit stressful. But I noticed my resting heart rate probably made about a 20 beat increase during the day that day. So even if I went to the weight room, it wasn't going to be a good training session, because when you're in a stressed state and heart rate's elevated even resting, that's a pretty good warning sign or indicator that just go ahead and do a recovery day. Take the day off, rest, relax, hope you get a good night's sleep, and then hit it tomorrow. So that's one story that I can think from the week, that just a parallel I can draw right now with this driving that I'm doing. So another thing I was thinking about this week was, there's a term that exists that says, where they're talking about death from 1,000 cuts. So death from 1,000 cuts obviously means it's not going to be it's unlikely that it's going to be any one big thing that is going to kill an organization, person, etc. Outside of an accident of some kind, like a very, very traumatic accident. So the Death by a Thousand Cuts talks about, especially as it relates to day-to-day health, it may not matter too much in the grand scheme of things if every once in a while you have a cheat meal, miss a training session, you have a couple drinks, whatever. If you have that happen every once in a while, that's fine. That's part of, quote unquote, normal life. However, when you start stacking that stuff and you start, giving yourself permission to, oh, it's okay, I can have a drink. It's okay, I can miss this training session. It's okay, I can stay up. I can, have a cigarette here. I can smoke a cigar here. Like, whatever. You get the idea. Is all of these things start to stack up and cut into your long-term health. But the problem is a lot of people lack the foresight of long-term health implications of decisions they make today. So this is one of those things where the actions that you do or do not take today, the decisions you do or do not take today, are going to impact, without question, are going to impact your health years from now. You may not realize it, and the worst part of it is that you may not realize it until it's too late. So it's better to be proactive and, even if it's one small step at a time. For example, instead of 4 drinks tonight, maybe you have 3. Then see if you can do that again tomorrow. Instead of 3 drinks 2 weeks from now that you've been having every day, maybe 2 drinks. And just gradually step it down. Now there's a lot of mistakes that people will make when they're trying to modify or change behavior. And one of those things is they'll take away, 3 or 4 things all at once without replacing something. So then this gets into some deep psychology here, but especially when you are, a lot of people will have some sort of an emotional attachment to their behavior that they're performing. And they may not even know why or what triggered the initial behavior choices that they're making. So rather than take away, find something to redirect the same energy, same behavior into something that's, at the very least, not destructive. Who cares if it's mindless? As long as it's neutral or hopefully positive. So maybe instead of, let's just stay with the drink example. Maybe instead of a drink, you go take a yoga class. So that same hour that you're having a drink or 2 or 3 or whatever, maybe you sign up for a yoga class. And maybe it's not all 5 nights of the week, but maybe it's once a week. Okay, cool. Start to hit that. Now maybe you replace one other day of the week with 1 training session. And you don't have to absolutely kill it. You don't have to absolutely do everything perfect. But we're just talking about simple, small replacements done over time that will gradually phase out the behavior that we don't want. This is way, way, way more productive than trying to take away. Because if you take away everything all the time, then people are going to experience that sense of loss and potentially resent other people in their lives who are, ultimately looking out for their best interests, but maybe going about it the wrong way. So, just a quick thought there on, redirecting some energy that you're already expending anyway, and doing something productive with it. So, I was also talking with. So I've got this small, changing gears here. So I've got this small online community where it's called the Strength Circle, where people will sign up and basically they'll have access to training programs and also access to me and I'll generally respond to questions or critique videos or things of that nature. So anyway, that's a small online community I've got, and I had a husband and wife sign up for it recently, and it's interesting because they'll both reach out in the forum and say, hey, can you look at my technique? Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what's going well for me, or I'm not sure if I'm doing this correctly. What do I do? And then I'll respond back. And this husband and wife that I'm working with, the wife is responding completely different to training than her husband. So we've had to modify some things. So my prescription to the husband has been a little bit different for a variety of reasons. So just as an example, he is lifting heavier weights. He's a taller guy, so he is covering a larger range of motion. So we've actually had to reduce his volume just a bit because he was getting to the end of his training sessions and not feeling so well. So we're decreasing his volume, and then once his volume is adjusted and he's starting to respond positively and not have the soreness or the nausea or whatever, because it has been a little while since he got into training, once that kind of subsides, then we'll start to gradually reintroduce more volume or more weight or whatever variable we need to tweak. But first and foremost, we're going to start with a few training sessions per week, and then we'll uptick it very, very slowly once his conditioning improves. Whereas his wife is tolerating the volume just fine. However, she just needs to focus on continuing to execute the lifts with precision, which she will continue to do, and then just slowly add more weight. So this leads me into training. Like when we're talking about training and individual differences here, is that we want to have a little bit of variation that we can play with here and there. So very rarely is the exact same prescription going to work across the board, even for people who are of similar training age, similar height, weight, all of that stuff. There are going to need to be some tweaks, some adjustments here and there. So a very simple system is you can go in with the intention of, for example, doing 3 sets of 10. And if you aren't feeling the intensity that day, if you don't think you can hit the required intensity, like let's say it's at a 6 RPE, then we can say, okay, let's do one more set. So we'll do 4 sets of 10, but we'll decrease the intensity just a bit. Or if you are feeling great, then we could talk about decreasing the number of sets we're doing, but increasing the intensity. So maybe we increase the RPE projection from 6 to 7. And that is not going to be every single workout, but it's a quick way that you can adjust for the days where you're feeling awesome and days where you're not feeling so hot. Because it's always better to get a little bit of work in and practice the movement patterns than to worry about, how heavy you're lifting. Because I think a lot of times people get caught up in trying to hit certain thresholds with their weights, and you don't really need to worry about that for the most part, especially early on. Early on, what they need to focus on is repeatable movement patterns done with precision. So, can they execute the lift? Yes, no. Okay, cool. Can they do it again and again and again? And now, can they do it again and again and again, regardless of regardless of the weight that they're using? So that's kind of how I go about, or one of the ways I'll go about training individuals. So anyway, I would encourage you to make sure you're getting your training sessions in. Find some sort of program that is well thought out, that has well sequenced blocks of training that make sense, not just randomness. Because as I was talking to an athlete earlier this week, random training yields random results. So if you're not training for anything in particular and you just like to exercise, that's awesome. Follow some randomness. But if you want to have a predictable outcome, follow a planned, well-sequenced training program that makes sense, and then actually stick with it. So the higher your compliance rate, obviously the higher likelihood we have of hitting the desired outcome. So when we start, making up excuses or using excuses all the time for reasons why you can't do this, can't do that, your compliance rate is decreasing. So just keep that in mind. If you're okay with making that trade-off or that exchange, or potentially delaying if you're okay with delaying your progress for that desired goal, just ask yourself, is that trade-off I'm willing to make? So anyway, I need to get off here because there are some more curves coming up and what looks like some slowed down traffic. So anyway, if you have any questions, please email me at jtbarrettfitness@gmail.com. You can also schedule a free call with me at travisbarrett.com/call. Have a good day.